This episode is brought to you by Temptations Cat Treats. Your cat will come running for the perfectly irresistible Temptations Creamy Puree and Temptations Lickable Spoon Cat Treats. The best time to feed lickable cat treats to your cat is anytime. Feed by hand for a playful moment, in a bowl for a creamy treat, or as a topper to make mealtime fun. Visit temptationstreats.com to learn more.
Get ready for Netflix's gripping new medical drama, Pulse. Set in a cutting-edge Miami trauma center, third-year resident Dr. Danny Sims is unexpectedly thrust into a promotion when beloved chief resident Dr. Xander Phillips gets suspended. Then, with the emotional and physical stakes at their highest, a storm will push the hospital and its residents to their limits. Witness how life can change in a heartbeat when you're operating under pressure. Watch Pulse April 3rd, only on Netflix.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. It's tax season, and we're all a bit tired of numbers. But here's one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Now here's a good number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it. Guaranteed. Save up to 40% your first year at LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
The 80s were absolutely the peak era when it came to Saturday morning having the cartoons for the toys that we all wanted to have and play with. Then, the 2000s decided that they wanted to cash in on all that nostalgia and threw up a ton of CGI messes onto the silver screen. We ate it up. Of course we did. But did it give us indigestion? Find out as we look to see if G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra is not that bad. Welcome one and all to It's Not That Bad, the podcast that looks for A grades in B movies and a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Hello to all of our listeners in Plymouth, New Hampshire and around the world. How you guys doing? I will admit, I'm a geek. I'm a card-carrying member of Geek Nation, and I am damn proud of it. And sooner rather than later, we're about to get the ultimate mashup film, because at some point, we are going to get a Transformers and G.I. Joe crossover live-action film, and teenage me is going, yee! But I also do it trepidatiously. And if you are a comic book reader, Image Comics has created the Energon universe, which is crossing over Transformers, G.I. Joe, and a new comic book, Void Rivals. And it's actually a really good series. I say that because we also have to go back to a time when G.I. Joe made their first live action leap to the screen in The Rise of Cobra. And here to rise to the challenge, Drew from the Fanfliction Podcast is here. Dude, how you doing, man?
Great. How are you doing? I'm doing great. I'm so looking forward to talking about this movie.
I'm trying to tell if you're being sarcastic or not.
I'm not going to let you know until the end.
But dude, like I will admit that I kind of threw this at you and you were like, okay, I'll play catch. Here we go. Growing up though, were you a G.I. Joe kid watching the animated series?
Watched the series, had the toys, all of it. I'll date myself. I was born in 83. I was all in the G.I. Joe when I was 6, 7, 4, 20, whatever.
Still going, yeah.
Still going. I had all the toys, watched the cartoons, knowing is half the battle is like my thing. That, yeah, I was all in on G.I. Joe as a kid.
So going back to Transformers Rise of the Beast, it makes it to the big screen, and not a bad film because Michael Bay films exist, but you get that post-credit scene and you see the card that says G.I. Joe. Are you excited or nervous as to what's to come?
I stopped watching Transformers after the third one. I just couldn't do it anymore. It made me hurt.
Fair enough. Fair. I mean, you are missing some good Transformers stuff with Bumblebee. Rise of the Beast wasn't bad, and Transformers 1 is fantastic. But there was a stretch, though, where things were starting to make their leap to the big screen. G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra was the first live-action treatment of the property. Of course, there was an animated film back in like 1987, which, of course, anyone who ever watched that film walked out going, Cobra, la, 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 la. We're not doing that here, thankfully.
Yeah.
We're talking about The Rise of Cobra. But before we get into this film, it is time to take it and trailerize it.
Are you ready to rah-rah your way through the adventures of real American heroes? Well, make sure you bring your passport, because this movie barely spends any time in the USA. Enter the eternal conflict between good and evil in G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra. Meet Duke and Ripcord, the GoBots equivalent of Captain America and Falcon. When their simple delivery mission gets derailed by a leather-clad, black-haired not widow, they get enlisted into G.I. Joe, an elite force so American, their secret base is in Cairo, Egypt. Together, they'll stop bad things happening to Paris, the Arctic, Beijing, Russia, but they'll let Washington sweat it out a little bit. It's a movie that takes all the cool things about the 80s toy lines and gives it a modern paint job, making everything look like they shopped at the X-Men movies closet, and every vehicle looked like it came off a Cybertruck assembly line. Yo, Joe! It's The Rise of Cobra. Rated PG-13 for Paris gendarmes.
Yeah, this film with the real American heroes, G.I. Joe spends a lot of time not in the States.
Yeah, there's very, just like a lot of my country right now, we don't want to be here anymore. But I am so glad in the trailer that you mentioned like Captain America and Black Widow, because my 9-year-old kept spending the entire movie seeing the chick going, is that Black Widow? No, wrong. This is not an Avengers movie. Is that Iron Man in the suit? No.
Yeah,
She was all kinds of confused.
This was very much the G.I. Joe Avengers at some points, but let's get into who is in this film. The movie stars Channing Tatum, Marlon Wayans, Rachel Nichols, Sienna Miller, Dennis Quaid, Adewale Akinnuoye Agbaje, Ray Park, Said Taghmaoui, Christopher Eccleston, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Lee Byung-hun, Arnold Vosloo, and Jonathan Pryce. And if I messed up any of those names, you got to remember, I'm an idiot Canadian in a basement with a microphone. Don't come to me for accuracy, or at least better pronunciation. However, there is an almost starring in this one, and it's quite the almost starring. We almost had Roadblock in this film because Common was actually offered the role, but he had to turn it down. So they swapped out the character and put in Heavy Duty, who was played by Adewale Akinnuoye Agbaje. Also, the guy who eventually became Roadblock in G.I. Joe Retaliation, Dwayne Johnson, was at one point rumored to be in this movie as Shipwreck, but things turned out the way they did. But in roles that did make it into this film, under consideration or offered the role for Duke were, and I'm going to give you this list here, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts. This is the Channing Tatum role, but it could have been Sam Worthington, Mark Wahlberg, Jared Padalecki, Matthew Fox, Chris Hemsworth, or Chris Evans.
Ooh.
You're thinking Chris Evans, I can tell.
It's hard to imagine a not Captain America Chris Evans.
That's the thing, yeah.
He could have done it because, I mean, this is just so tonally different than the Avengers movies. I mean, this is just straight action and cheese. And, I mean, yeah, he could have. Yeah, oh, yeah, never mind. I just realized I remembered one of my favorite roles of his other than Cap. And I'm sorry, if you think it's a stupid movie, I don't care. It's the Not Another Teen Movie. That thing is hilarious.
Yes,
I will die on that hill, and he was great in it. Yes, I think he could have done it. What did you say? Jared Padalecki? Is that the guy from Big Bang Theory and Roseanne?
No. Jared Padalecki is probably best known for his role in Gilmore Girls, but he was also in like Friday the 13th, the remake, and Supernatural and House of Wax. Like he's been around a bit, and I could picture him in the role. Sam Worthington, of course, at the time was filming Avatar, so he couldn't take the role. I definitely couldn't picture Mark Wahlberg in this. Like, just no.
I'm thinking of Johnny Galecki. I was close.
Yes, no. It would rhyme in a poem, but it's not the same person.
Yeah. I've never seen him in anything. I've never seen Supernatural or Gilmore Girls or anything like that. So I can't. Sam Worthington? No, because, I mean, there's a reason he hasn't had anything since Avatar.
Hey, I liked Terminator Salvation, which actually came out in this same year, but I might be in the minority on that one.
I don't think he would have done this justice at all.
Actually, I also didn't mind him in Clash of the Titans. But then again, that one also pales in comparison to the original because everything's going to pale in comparison to the original. But still, he gave it a good shot. In the role of Scarlet, Emma Roberts apparently turned down the role. And I could actually picture this.
Yeah, I could see that one. I didn't delve much into the cast, but the woman that was her, she was not really an actress, was she?
Rachel Nichols had been around a while, actually, and she had actually just finished filming her part in the first Star Trek film that J.J. Abrams did. Admittedly a smaller role, but luckily her hair was already dyed red for that, so it worked out well for this. In the role of Baroness, which was played by Sienna Miller, under consideration for the role was Olga Kurylenko, who is probably best known right now as being Taskmaster in Black Widow and the upcoming Thunderbolts film.
That's who I'm thinking of. She wasn't an actress, was she? She was a model.
Yeah, not at the time, but yeah.
Yeah.
In the role of Snake Eyes, apparently auditioning for the role were Gary Daniels, who played the Brit in Expendables, and Scott Adkins, who was Weapon 11 in X-Men Origins Wolverine, but of course, Ray Park got the role. David Murray, this is the guy that played the first James McCullen in like 1642 in the opening scene of this film. He was originally offered the role of Destro, but he couldn't do it because of visa problems. So he still got to be in the role, but then we get Christopher Eccleston as Destro. The movie was directed by Stephen Sommers, who prior to this had directed The Mummy, The Mummy Returns, and Van Helsing, on a budget of $175 million. Domestically, though, it only made $150 million, and worldwide made $302 million. When it was released on the August 7th, 2009 weekend, of course, debuted at number 1 because it's a G.I. Joe film, making $54.7 million. At number 2 was the debut of Julie and Julia, which made $20 million. A Perfect Getaway also debuted that week, debuting at number 7. And I'm just taking a look at some of the other films that are on this list. Yes, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince was at number 4, so of course that's going to still be up there. But G-Force is at number 3, and before you say, hey, Battle of the Planets is awesome, no. This is the one with the hamsters.
That's a good movie.
Is it, though?
I'll die on that hill.
We may have to come back and double back on that one.
It's a cute animated movie. I don't care. It's good.
Last week was our first playoff game, and my plaque psoriasis was so itchy under all my gear. Sometimes just thinking about scratching could take me out of the moment. And then my doctor told me I could get clearer skin with a pill called Otezla.
Otezla apremilast is a prescription medicine used to treat adult patients with plaque psoriasis for whom phototherapy or systemic therapy is appropriate. Otezla can help you get clearer skin after just 4 months.
Okay, ready for the next game. Talking to my doctor about a pill was a total game changer.
Don't use Otezla if you're allergic to it. Get medical help right away if you have trouble breathing or swallowing, swelling of the face, lips, tongue, throat, or arms. Severe diarrhea, nausea or vomiting, depression, suicidal thoughts, or weight loss can happen. Tell your doctor if any of these occur and if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts. Live in the moment. Ask your doctor about Otezla. Call 1-844-4-OTESLA or visit Otezla.com for prescribing info about cost, and more.
BTW, FYI. Visit Nexplanon.com RN to learn about Nexplanon. It's an adjustable implant, 68 milligrams radiopaque. Or ask your HCP IRL. Okay, TTYL.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
There are some accolades for this film, as there usually are for something of this caliber, both good and bad. At the 2010 Golden Reel Awards, it was nominated for Best Sound Editing for Dialogue and ADR in a feature film, but lost to Inglourious Basterds. At the 2009 International Film Music Critics Award, Alan Silvestri was nominated for Best Original Score for an action-adventure film, but lost to James Peterson for Money Fight. At the 2009 IGN Summer Movie Awards, Ray Park was nominated for Fave Hero, but lost to Charlito Copley for District 9, which, yeah, District 9 is an awesome freaking film. And Brendan Fraser was nominated for Fave Cameo, lost to Mike Tyson in The Hangover.
Okay, I get that one.
At the 2010 Young Artist Awards, Brandon Soo-Hoo was nominated for Best Performance in a Feature Film Supporting Young Actor as Young Storm Shadow. He lost to Ty Hood in The Haunting in Connecticut. At the 2010 Taurus Awards, the film was nominated for Best Stunt Coordinator and/or Second Unit Director, but lost to Mike Gunther for Fast and Furious. And at the 2010 Teen Choice Awards, Channing Tatum won for Choice Movie Actor in an Action-Adventure Film. Sienna Miller was nominated for Choice Movie Actress in that category, but lost to Rachel McAdams for Sherlock Holmes. Joseph Gordon-Levitt was nominated for Choice Movie Villain, lost to Rachel Lefebvre in The Twilight Saga New Moon, and the movie was nominated for Choice Movie Action Adventure, lost to Sherlock Holmes. But then we get to the flip side of things. At the 2009 Golden Schmoes Awards, it was nominated for Worst Film of the Year, lost to Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, and Sienna Miller was nominated for, and I can't believe this is an award, but here we are, Best TNA of the Year, but lost to Malin Ackerman for Watchmen.
Wow.
Which I remember that scene, so yes. And at the 2010 Razzies, Sienna Miller won for Worst Supporting Actress. Marlon Wayans was nominated for Worst Supporting Actor, but lost to Billy Ray Cyrus for Hannah Montana the Movie. Steven Summers was nominated for Worst Director, lost to Michael Bay for Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. And the movie was nominated for Worst Remake Ripoff or Sequel, lost to Land of the Lost. Worst Picture, lost to Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. And nominated for Worst Screenplay, again lost to Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. Like, I'm a Transformers kid through and through. I love my Transformers, still love my Transformers. Loved it more than G.I. Joe. But if you had told me, if you had told that kid that in 2009 you were going to get a Transformers film and a G.I. Joe film, and of the two, you were going to like the G.I. Joe film better, I would have laughed at you. But I have to come back and say, G.I. Joe, I think, was the better film of the two that year.
Yes.
Because Revenge of the Fallen was a steaming pile of crap.
That's the last one I saw. Again, I quit watching them after that's how bad it was. I do plan on watching the sequel to this thing because my family wants to.
All right. So now we get to the reason why we are here, not because I and Drew have fantastic taste in film, are the critics. Over at Rotten Tomatoes, the tomatometer sits at 33%. The popcorn meter at 50%. Over at Metacritic, the film has a Metascore of 32. At IMDb, it sits at 5.7 stars out of 10. At Letterboxd, it sits at 2.3 stars, giving it a 46% score. And at the movie database, it sits at 58%, giving this an aggravated aggregate of 46%. And if memory serves, I don't think there's a single G.I. Joe film that doesn't qualify for the podcast. So be here a while. But if I say to you that this film sits at an aggregate 46% score, is that accurate to you?
It's not egregious. I think it's a little on the lower end. Is it a great movie? No. As I told you before we're recording, that I always will sit down with a notepad and take notes and write things down that I want to talk about. And I made a conscious decision on this one. I wasn't going to do that. I went in there, I turned my brain off, I watched a movie, and I let it entertain me. That's exactly what it was. And I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Gotta love that. All right, so let's get into the breakdown of this here. We start, of course, with Channing Tatum as Duke. I mean, this comes after, now we're a year past the year of Gambit, and Channing Tatum got to actually get to have that Gambit moment here. But how was he as Duke for you?
Not too bad. I mean, he's cheesy. He's macho. He was, I think, what he was supposed to be. A little behind the scenes. I'm sitting 20 miles from where Channing Tatum went to college and played football. He went to college right up the road from me. He's like the big, I don't think he graduated from there, but they always say, "Hey, Channing Tatum went here. You should too." Yeah. Yeah, little tiny college in the middle of nowhere. But yeah, in this, he wasn't bad. Is he going to win Oscars for best lead actor in a movie? No, not at all. But that's not this. That, like I said before, that's not what this movie was.
No, it's a popcorn flick. It's
exactly
a big budget, big action, big spectacle popcorn flick. And Channing Tatum, like looking at all those actors that were under consideration for this, Chris Evans aside, Channing Tatum, I think, was probably the perfect call for this. And I wouldn't want to swap him out, because then we might have an MCU without Captain America, because then Chris Evans will be locked into this, and maybe that's not what you want. But keep it in mind that there are divergences from the comic in some cases, but I think Duke kind of fits that role. He gives you exactly what you want. He's serious-ish, definitely action capable, good with the quips, because you want quips in a popcorn film. And I recognize that he wasn't a fan of the circumstances that led him to having to do this film, because he was under contract and he couldn't get out of it. So apparently he didn't like what made him do it, but even he admits that the film isn't really all that bad. I really enjoyed him in this. I thought he was pitch perfect for what the movie wanted to do.
Yeah, he wasn't any more or any less than what he needed to be, and that's perfect for this kind of role. He wasn't over the top crazy with it, but he wasn't bored stiff like he could have been and just mailed it in. You could tell he actually tried, and that's a good thing.
Yeah,
of course, it's a good thing.
This isn't one of those films where they take an older property or a nostalgia property and they play it for jokes. That's not what this is. This is a big screen action film, and you got that from Channing Tatum. And it made G.I. Joe fun to watch. Not like, and I hate to bring this up, but not like freaking Shia LaBeouf over on Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. Like, no. Just no. I wanted more Duke in this. Duke was good.
Yep. I couldn't agree more on this. Nope.
Marlon Wayans as Ripcord. Your thoughts on him?
Now this one, he was okay. And I don't think it was the actor. I think he was written a little poorly. He was just there for the one-liner jokes and to try to get the girl. And that's about it that I got out of him.
Yeah. And I understand. I recognize that we're still a few years away from Captain America the Winter Soldier dropping. And, we kind of made jokes about this being like the GoBots version of what a Captain America and Falcon film would be like. But yet I think the way Anthony Mackie played Falcon should have been the template for what they should have done with Marlon Wayans in hindsight. Like, I found Ripcord just too goofy. Like, here was this a point where you teetered on the possibility of this film becoming a joke of what it's supposed to bring back.
Yeah, that was my point. I didn't have a problem with him being like the comic relief and the quips and the jokes, but he got a little silly sometimes, and it just, I'm not saying this movie had to be serious, but there is, you need a serious-ish tone to hold it together, and he just wasn't, whether it was writing, directing, or maybe it was his acting choice, it just did not hit with me.
Yeah, I mean, yes, make the quips, but don't make it. There were some cringe moments in this script for him, and again, script is what it is. But I mean, Marlon Wayans is also more known for comedy movies and that kind of film. Maybe not necessarily an action star. I think there may have been better films or better actors for this role in this film. And I'm not saying that's Marlon Wayans is a bad actor. I'm just saying that maybe he wasn't the actor for this role.
And we did not need whatsoever a love story in this movie between him and the other girl. We've already got the one baked in with Duke and
Baroness. Yeah.
Baroness.
Which we
don't need a second one.
Yeah, we're going to get to that in a little bit because I got thoughts on that one.
I mean, if you cut that storyline out of him trying to get the girl, I could probably buy it. But no, not
just
at all.
no. That girl of question, of course, is Rachel Nichols, who played Scarlett. I liked her in this. She felt like Scarlett to me.
Yeah, she wasn't bad. Now you've got me curious. You said she was in JJ's Star Trek. Who was she in that? Because I cannot place her.
She was Gaia. So, again, not a very big role, just a very small role. But she was also in the film P2, which is more of a horror film set in a parking garage. After that, of course, she was in Conan the Barbarian, the remake with Jason Momoa. She's also in the TV series Continuum. And you can actually see that on a few different streaming services. That is a very underrated show. It is really good. So if you like sci-fi TV shows, go watch Continuum. It's quite good.
Not heard of it. I'll have to check it out. But I had no problem with her in this movie. I thought she was good. She was actiony. She was obviously an attractive lady. I had no problem with the way she played Scarlett at all. I love the fact that they let her hold her own and didn't just kind of make her a damsel in distress at points.
Oh God. And yeah, that's the thing. Scarlett is never the damsel in distress. She is. Anyone who actually read the short run comic book line that Image Comics did recently on Scarlett knows that you need someone who can bring a little bit of badassery. And I find, because of course this movie came out a year before Iron Man 2, I see a lot of almost influences in the way that Black Widow is written for Scarlett Johansson in the Avengers MCU. I could easily see Rachel Nichols as the Black Widow. She was able to pull that off, and I don't think it would have been a far stretch had she gotten that role.
I 100% agree to that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have been bad at all.
You take a look at Scarlett Johansson in Age of Ultron, and you can very easily see Rachel Nichols in that role. Absolutely. Adewale Akintoye Agbaje as Heavy Duty. Now, this guy's a mountain of a man, and he definitely looked like someone who should be called Heavy Duty. Your thoughts on him?
I love him in everything I've ever seen him in. He's great. He comes in when he needs to in here, spits out the line. He's the big dude. He's at one point, he starts taking over. He's in charge while I can't think of his name, was out of it for a while. But yeah, I love him. He's great. That voice is just commanding, and the accent is just not hilarious, awesome. Yeah, love him in this.
I mean, I remember when we covered the first Suicide Squad film on the show. And of course, in that, he's Killer Croc. And you're right. Everything I have seen him in, he's amazing. He's a really good actor. So I do apologize anytime I mess up your name, good sir. But it's not because of your acting. Your acting is spot on. He understood the assignment in this. Like, Heavy Duty's not there for quips and whatnot. He's there to be an action man. And yes, he kind of does take a little bit. I think he and Scarlet kind of both take that field commander role while Hawk is recuperating after the attack in the pit by Cobra. I liked him in this. I actually wanted more of him in this because he was so good.
Yeah, if we were to get a spin-off origin story, I want him. I know we got another one, and that's a whole nother story. I want him. I want him in a full-length movie.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And then you have Said Tamawi, and again, I apologize if I messed up the name, as Breaker. This is like their tech expert, their guy in the chair who also goes out in the field. Your thoughts?
So underused and not in this enough for me to really have an opinion. He was barely given anything other than a few technical babble lines.
I mean, he's a little manic, but considering that he's constantly dealing with all the tech and everything that's going on, it kind of makes sense for the character. And you want someone to be able to stand out, because otherwise you have a bunch of generic raw characters. And I think this is something that G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra did very well. You have a decent size team of Joes out there trying to stop Cobra. But it's not just faceless automatons all in the same uniform. Heavy Duty is very identifiable. Scarlet is her own badass. Breaker is a little twitchy at times, but he's the tech guy. It's all good. Of course, you got Duke and you got Ripcord. Like, everyone is unique. And you need that in a film that deals with the team dynamic. Otherwise, people are going to get lost. You're going to be like, oh, well, which guy in the suit? Oh, that guy in the suit. No. You know exactly who is who because they each have their own role to play, and they're all very unique on camera. Something G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra did very well. Aside from Transformers films, where, like, unless it's Optimus Prime or freaking Bumblebee, every other robot looks like a bad Lego interpretation of what a Transformer should be.
Agreed. I love the fact that they're all unique and not just cookie cutter. Oh, he's a soldier. Soldier. Let's just give him a fun name and move on.
Yeah. I mean, that was the cool part about G.I. Joe toys. You had different characters. I mean, no, you don't have a character like Snowjob in here. You don't have a character like Shipwreck, who were very identifiable toys, absolutely, and in the cartoon as well. But you still had uniqueness, even though we didn't have necessarily the colorful costumes of the 80s brand and the 80s toys. They still stood out. But let's be honest, if you were a G.I. Joe kid back in the day, there were two toys you wanted, and one of them was Snake Eyes. Here, played by Ray Park, who, of course, we know as Darth Maul. Your thoughts on him?
Like I said, I didn't look up the cast. I didn't have to. The first time I saw him do the backflip corkscrew, I'm like, oh, that's Ray Park.
Please sign your name in the move. Thank you, sir.
Yep, there we go. I mean, I didn't even pay attention to the credits, or I don't even know if he was credited in the beginning.
Oh, he was.
Okay, never saw it. As soon as I saw that backflip corkscrew, I'm like, oh, Ray Park, he's in this. Cool. Love it. Never had to say a word. Just did Ray Park things, and that's enough. That's all you need.
I mean, Snake Eyes is really all about the moves, the ninja weapons, in that mask, that iconic mask with just the visor and the black hood. But here they added like a mouth and a nose, and I'm like, why? That mask looked weird. The winter mask that he had where it was just the visor, that's all you need. I need that visor and nothing else.
Maybe they were saving it as like here it is at the end of the movie kind of thing.
I don't know, that it's one of the most iconic looks from 80s cartoons. Like Snake Eyes was such a cool, badass toy and character. I want that. I want more of that.
I had his action figure, plain as day, with the swords.
I don't have that action figure. I never had that action figure. I spent all my money on Transformers.
Oh, I don't have it anymore. I have no idea what happened to my toys after.
That's the sad thing too. As I'm watching some of these like nostalgia films, right? Like Transformers and G.I. Joe, and I realize like, oh, I had that toy and I had that toy and dear God, why don't I still have those toys? I could be rich right now if I still had some of those toys.
Oh yeah. Or the one I always remember is the time when I was probably, I don't know how old I was, but I went up to my room and grabbed some toys and went to play with them. Like I had action figures. I'm like, this just isn't fun anymore, and just put them away for the last time. I vividly remember that in my life.
Oh, you had an Andy moment.
Yeah, I had an Andy moment.
You put Wheezy up on the shelf. Oh man. Yep. Oh,
I remember exactly which two toys it was too.
Oh, now I got to know.
One was a Power Ranger. One was a VR Trooper.
Nothing wrong with those toys at all whatsoever.
Nothing at all. But I grew out of it, and it wasn't fun anymore.
Do you think those toys still miss you?
Probably somewhere. Hopefully they didn't go over in a landfill into a big violent ball of fire. God, Toy Story 3 tore me up.
God damn it, Pixar, look what you've done to us. Okay.
Oh, I hate them for that.
Dennis Quaid, who played Hawk, like, first of all, it's freaking Dennis Quaid. And he came out and said that his performance, quote unquote, was a cross between Chuck Yeager and Sergeant Rock and maybe a naive Hugh Hefner. Your thoughts on Hawk?
Oh, that's what he said?
That's what he said.
I thought he was General Patton on Speed.
See, it came to me like almost like a bad Wax Museum John Wayne performance.
He was just oorah, gung-ho, balls to the walls, cheesy general in charge. Just, I know what this is. I'm going to make it this. And by God, he nailed it. I loved it. I'm not going to lie. Loved it.
See, I mentioned I'm a geek, right? Like just total geek. There's a part of me, it's a very big part of me, but it's a part of me that wants to retroactively go back and recast this role. Hear me out. It's for reasons. Now, I know you said you kind of stepped away from Transformers films, but when Dark of the Moon came out and you had Leonard Nimoy in the voice cast, knowing that Leonard Nimoy did one of the voices, of course, as Galvatron in Transformers the movie, it was one of those like, it's come full circle moments. In G.I. Joe the movie, Lieutenant Falcon is voiced by Don Johnson. Had they put Don Johnson in this role, it would have been one of those cool, full circle nostalgia moments. And I think Don Johnson could have done a really good job as Hawk.
What about Gunnery Sergeant Emery from Full Metal Jacket? I mean, just full, but have him do cheese.
I know. Maybe I'm just geeking and trying to get the animated cast into this. Because, I mean, you're not going to put Sergeant Slaughter into this. That's not going to happen.
Okay, there we go. There's perfect casting. We pull up Slaughter.
Well, it seems how he was actually the character. Yeah, no, we're not going to get Sergeant Slaughter in here. I mean, Dennis Quaid was a little over the top, but again, knowing the tonality of the film, it does kind of work. I just wish they put Don Johnson in because I want that geek moment. One more Joe to talk about. It's a small role, and she wasn't there for a while, but Carolina Kurkova, who played CoverGirl until she was killed in the raid at the pit. Your thoughts on her?
What an end to her career. Whew. Yeah. I mean, didn't see that coming, but I love how they showed you what happened, but didn't show you a whole lot of it because they really wanted to hang on to that PG rating. Yeah, that could have gotten a lot worse.
I mean, I find it interesting because in comic book lore, CoverGirl is a model turned G.I. Joe because she's looking for something more fulfilling. In real life, Carolina Kurkova is a model who turned to acting because she wanted something more fulfilling. So the fact that she plays Courtney Krieger, CoverGirl, in this film, it's kind of one of those little moments where it's like, oh, I get this would literally be me casting Don Johnson in the role of Hawk. This is one of those moments where you're like, oh, I get it now. But
Life imitating art.
The interesting thing though is that she's there enough for you to sit there and go, oh, it's CoverGirl. I get it, right? It's an actual Namer Joe from the comic books, and they're actually using her quite a bit in the current run of G.I. Joe comic books from Image Comics. But she needed to kill someone, and I think that was the right person to do that to, because at that point she didn't really contribute to the team and going out into the field. So it worked well enough, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who else they could have killed off right there, and it can't be somebody just nameless intern or somebody walking in with a clipboard. It had to be somebody who had some emotional connection to through the movie, and we've seen her in a couple scenes. We saw that she had a relationship, working relationship with Hawk. I thought it was a good choice.
Yeah, absolutely. So sometimes it's okay to kill a character because it advances the storyline a little bit. And I think that set the tone for the raid at the pit with a character known enough, but not too much to impact the rest of the story. We now get to the other side of things with Cobra, starting with the Ninth Doctor, Christopher Eccleston as Destro. Your thoughts?
Much better as Destro than he was as the Doctor. I've not watched a lot of Doctor Who, but what I saw was him, and not a big fan. I mean, that's not to take away from Christopher Eccleston. Going back and watching some of his Doctor Who stories, they are decent stories. It's just one of those things where it just didn't work out. He is fantastic in the A Word. He unfortunately had to be in Thor: The Dark World as Malekith. Yeah. Horrible character that nobody could have done anything with. He's great at playing an asshole.
Yeah.
I mean, he just is. No other way to put it.
Here's the thing. Destro is Scottish. That's comic book accurate. And Christopher Eccleston, while not Scottish, passably Scottish, if you will. Today,
Scottish adjacent.
Exactly. Enough. Close enough for jazz. Today, obviously, you would probably cast like James McAvoy, who is actually Scottish. But in 2009, and I was looking this up, like Scottish actors. No, I'm not putting David Tennant in this role. But Graham McTavish, who played Dwalin in the Hobbit trilogy, looks like he would have made a good Destro.
That could work.
I mean, it's hard though. I mean, I think Eccleston brought the accent. He brought a passable James McCollum. But I have good thoughts and bad thoughts about the team that makes up what is Cobra. Christopher Eccleston's kind of in the middle on this. I can never get over that line. It's like, my lady of the lake. I'm like, what are you talking about? But yes, I understand that even in the comic books, Destro is very attached to Baroness. So that makes sense. But I don't know. It just kind of stood out to me as not bad, but not good. Kind of met down the middle.
What if we go back and recast him as Sean Connery?
See, around this time though, correct me if I'm wrong, with Sean Connery had already stopped acting. Because
we'll throw money at him. Yeah, we'll throw money at him.
In an alternate universe, when the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen doesn't exist, Sean Connery continues on.
I still like that movie.
It is a good movie. I didn't mind that movie at all.
I don't either. I wish Wish they'd have kept going with him, set up a sequel and stop. But no, we're not talking about that one.
No, not yet. Not today. Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Cobra Commander. Your thoughts?
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. 2 reasons. His performance was just like, I know this isn't a video podcast, but if everybody else's cheese was here, he was way up there with the cheese, and just his was a little too over the top for me.
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw the flashback of him getting blown to hell, I'm like, oh, okay, he's not dead. So we'll figure how that comes back. But yeah, his performance was just way too crazy, way too over the top. I know I'm saying unbelievable in a G.I. Joe movie, so bear with me here.
Yeah.
But I just didn't care for him at all.
I mean, I get that this is before Cobra exists, because, you know, everyone's working for Mars, and again, comic book accurate, all good. Why are you making Cobra Commander look like he's part Borg? Because he does. That entire face mask makes him look like he's part Borg. This is almost like a Disney Channel villain kind of performance. It's very cartoonish. And
in a bad way.
Yeah. Like, I understand if you don't want to do like the Hood look for Cobra Commander from the comic books, because it's a little clannish. But the people who grew up loving G.I. Joe, I want that shiny helmet. I want that shiny faceplate that shows nothing. And I don't want like some ghosting visage of a skull face that they did at the end of the... No, I want the helmet with the silver faceplate, and I don't want to see nothing but the reflection of who he's yelling at. I want that Cobra Commander.
Yep.
I don't want a Borg walking around talking in a very villain-esque kind of tone. Like, what the f*** are you doing, dude?
Yeah. And I like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a good actor. Just one of those in this did not hit home. And I understand whether it was him, the director, whatever. I understand where they're coming from. But just after 5 minutes of that, somebody had to go, cut. No, this isn't working.
Yeah, just stop. Stop what you're doing and reshoot. I know it costs money, but freaking do it. Sienna Miller, who played the Baroness. Your thoughts?
Slap googly eyes on a 2x4 and put a wig on it. I think she was terrible, horrible. I didn't believe her at all with anything she tried to get me to feel. Just did not like her in this at all. Like, at the bottom of the barrel would be her, and everybody else is floating somewhere in the middle in this movie.
See, interestingly, because there were points in here where I really liked her in this. Like, when she's being badass, because the Baroness is badass. And no, I get that the accent isn't there like you would get from the cartoon, which is probably why they looked at Olga Kurylenko originally for the role, and I understand that. I didn't mind her in this when she was being a villain, but then the idea of, you know, overcoming the programming from the nanomites because of feelings. No,
that's bad script writing.
The Baroness is evil. The Baroness is out for herself. The Baroness is basically, you know, what would happen to the Black Widow if she didn't join the Avengers? If she worked for Hydra? That's the thing. And there were points when Sienna Miller nailed it and the script got it, but then it pivoted, and I want to see Cobra. In its entire, like, I want Destro, who actually, I love what they did at the end, like giving him the metal mask through nanites. I liked that, even though it's like, I finally followed in my clan's destiny. Like, okay, just tone it down there, Doctor. But I want Cobra Commander in the helmet. I want Baroness to just be badass. You live and die with these movies by your villains. And Sienna Miller was almost there. Half this film, she was the Baroness. I truly believe that. And then half the film, they tried to redeem the Baroness, and I don't want the Baroness redeemed. I want her to kick ass.
I wonder how much of that was in the script or how much somebody in the studio going, no, pretty lady can't be bad guy, have to have redemption arc, go.
See, it's interesting, though, because she apparently took this role because, quote unquote, it didn't involve her character having a breakdown, addicted to heroin, or dying at the end, which I can kind of get. Like, if you have just taken on a stretch of films playing damaged people, playing a popcorn flick villain is probably going to be quite alluring as a bit of a tonic for what you've had to immerse yourself in. I just wish they had let her continue. I mean, every wrestling fan knows that the heel gets the good heat. The heel gets the big villain pop. Sienna Miller could have gotten the good villain pop out of this had they stayed with the Baroness being the Baroness.
And a heel turn back to face only works after you've seen them be bad at their absolute worst. If you wanted to do this in a second movie in a different way, possibly it might have worked. But you can't just say at the beginning of a movie, oh, she's bad, and then just give us no reason other than, oh, here she is, now she's good.
Yeah.
Which
the only reason Baroness should actually team up with the Joes in any sense is if it benefits the Baroness. That's the character. Not, ooh, feelings make me reprogram the nanites. No, you did Sienna Miller dirty in that one.
I agree to that 100%. I just didn't like the actors.
The other toy that everyone wanted back in the day, if you didn't have Snake Eyes, was Storm Shadow. Here played by Lee Byung-hun. Of everyone on the Cobra side, I think he nailed the assignment.
1,000% agreed. Yes, he was by far I get it. I know what this is. I'm going to nail it. And he did perfectly. Not him. Well, even the kid that played him at the beginning got it. So I don't know if that's writing, directing, or whatever. Whoever was shaping this character, or it's a combination of all, they got it. He was just what's the word I'm looking for? Had zero F's to give about anything other than what he wanted, and he was going to do it. He had no remorse, no feelings for anybody but himself, and by God, bam, going to do it.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about G.I. Joe characters, like the coolest thing about G.I. Joe is that, because it was in the 80s, ninjas were all over the place. Ninjas were cool. Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes were two of the coolest ninja characters that ever ninja'd. You want Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow to be top notch, or this is not a G.I. Joe film. I think you could have put any other G.I. Joe character in this film and it wouldn't have mattered. You needed to nail Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow, and they did. Even the moments where you could sit there and say, okay, that's a bit of a funny line, comes across properly in character. Like when they're trying to get away from the Joes in Paris, and all of a sudden Snake Eyes stops and he goes, he never gives up. Like that you could see him saying that. It didn't feel out of character. Storm Shadow was spot on in this.
Yeah, he knew. It's perfect. And yeah, like you said, ninjas, Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes are two of my top 3 favorite ninjas of all time.
Acura's all-new ADX, a compact SUV that isn't just built for one thing, it's precision crafted for everything. To escape the grind with available all-wheel drive. To go with your flow with available Google built-in.
Hey Google, turn it up.
Okay, turning up the volume. And crafted to be heard with an available Bang & Olufsen premium sound system. The all-new Acura ADX, crafted to match your energy. Acura, precision crafted performance.
Take your vibes on go, 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 go.
Google is a trademark of Google LLC.
Arnold Vosloo, who played Zartan, the master of disguise. Obviously, you're not going to go with a comic accurate look, because the comic accurate look for Zartan, I don't think would have worked in this. But your thoughts?
Oh, great. He's great in everything he ever does. I wish he was in more things as a bad guy. I know probably got typecast as bad guy, but I love him in that role. And this one, he just has that ability just to make his face look like you just want to frickin' punch him for whatever he's thinking. And he can sit there and be thinking about puppies, and I'm like, I want to kill you.
Not the puppies. We're not killing the puppies, but...
No, we're killing him for thinking about the puppies. That's how bad we hate this guy.
Yeah, Arnold Vosloo has this ability, very much like Michael Ironside does, of just creating characters that you're supposed to hate, and he's damn good at it. And I like what they did with Zartan, because Zartan is a master of disguise, because he can change his appearance to look like whoever he wants to look like, because that's what Zartan does. And the fact that they set this up properly for a sequel where he, spoiler alert, looks like the president and becomes the president of the United States. Like, they were playing some decent chess with this role and this character. Like, because all of a sudden they're like, well, where did Zartan go? Well, we know where he went. He's off to do more bad things that will happen in the second movie. It was smart scripting for him.
Yeah, that was like, this sets up a sequel really, really well. Yeah, I just had to go Google what Zartan looked like in the cartoon, and I just realized very close to, kind of looks like Deadpool in a way.
Yeah, if Deadpool wore a hoodie, that's kind of what it would look like.
Yeah, if you mix Scarlet Spider and Deadpool, that's what you would get.
Yeah. But speaking of the president, Jonathan Pryce, who played the president, not exactly a big role in this film, but how was he in this for you?
He's not bad. Not a whole lot of screen time, but he always has these roles. Doesn't he play the president in something else? Oh, Tomorrow Never Dies. He plays Mark Zuckerberg before Mark Zuckerberg was a Zuckerberg thing. Evil, sadistic bastard. And I've always pictured him ever since that movie. I've seen him, and I've just always pictured him as that. So in this, I always still see him as that. So, but in this, I mean, he wasn't bad.
He did do the voice in an animated film called Renaissance, and that is a fantastic film. If you like very cool animation styles, go check that one out. But I mean, like, he's there really to set up the tone for the next movie. It's not a big role here, but it's a role that takes on more importance down the road, even if that sequel ended up being the last one for a while. We have to mention this because I couldn't look away from this. When it comes to G.I. Joe, aside from the characters and aside from the action figures, it's about the vehicles. Like, everyone wanted like that F-14 fighter jet that came with it, or the Cobra helicopters, or the hang gliders that Cobra used. Like, you had some wickedly awesome toy vehicles for the line, but everything here literally looked like at Padme Amidala's ship in The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. Yeah, absolutely way too shiny. Like, give me some camouflage. Give me some color. Give me something that looks... And on the other side, give me some, like, just jet black metal kind of thing. Like, making it look like a stealth fighter, the last jet, that's cool. It's all good. But paint it freaking black. Do something other than everything looking like it's a Cybertruck.
Or just put like that, the camouflage suit Scarlet wore.
Yes.
Put that on the plane.
Right? Do something. These movies aren't designed to be big thought pieces. These movies are here to sell toys. But if every toy looks the same, I don't want to buy the toys. Give me the toys with the cool weapons and the stickers and the color and make it look like G.I. Joe. I'm even fine with the wannabe X-Men black costumes everyone's wearing at the end because whatever, it's 2009. Because the actors themselves created unique enough characters that they didn't all just kind of mesh together. The vehicles and the CGI used to make them, it took me out of it a bit. Because it was very bland. It was like set to the default skin.
I agree. The battle with through France with the SUV and the Iron Man suits from Temu, that could have been a lot better if it would have been something other than, what was that, a Land Rover? Give me something that's not a real car, but has all that same gadgets and missiles and all that crap on it. Don't give me a souped up Land Rover because that's just boring. That's not what Cobra would have had.
No.
No. Just no.
I mean, yes, the missiles popping out of the side, all the gadgets there. That's cool. That's what I want out of G.I. Joe. I want the cool gadgets and the flip up things and make it a toy that you want to play with. Make it the toy that you did play with. Like the Cobra Copter. I remember having the Cobra Copter with the swivel gun turret on the front and there was no cover on it. You just put the Cobra guy in there and it was a cool toy. Why didn't you have some of that? Yeah.
Could not agree more. I mean, and this movie, it's not like, oh, well, they can't get the rights to it. For the love of God, Hasbro put their big logo in the credits on the opening of the movie.
Yeah. And this is when IDW had the comic book rights to the entire Hasbro line. So you had Transformers good comic books. You had good G.I. Joe comic books. You had them meshing with characters like the Micronauts and Rom, the space thing. You even had a freaking Transformers and My Little Pony crossover comic book. So you could absolutely get the cool vehicles from the IDW comic book line. Make it happen. Give me cool toys to play with. I don't ask for much. I just want cool toys for my movies that are awesome.
Couldn't agree more.
All right, so now we've gone through the entirety of the film, and I don't think we really spoiled it. So the G.I. Joe films are on Paramount Plus if you want to go and watch them. Highly recommend because they are fun. They're just fun.
They are. They really are. Just like I did. Turn your brain off, sit there, and be entertained. Don't think too much into it, or you'll get really pissed off. I mean, if I went in there with notes and wanted to pick apart everything, I'd be pissed off right now. No. I was enjoyed, loved it. I would have saw this in theaters at the time.
Yeah, it's a big film. It's a fun film. Just go enjoy it. Even if you're not a G.I. Joe fan, just go for the thrill and the fun because it's a romp. It's a good action romp and you'll enjoy yourself. But now we get to the hard part. Or maybe it's not the hard part. We'll have to see. Drew, who is your MVP of G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra?
My MVP for Rise of Cobra. That's hard to nail down who I think is the MVP. Well, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's out.
Hashtag not my Cobra Commander.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. This is hard because I've got two in my head. You know what? The hell with it. I'm going to go with it. I want to go with good old Hawk. I love that performance. I thought he was great.
But it's not Don Johnson. Oh, it's okay. That's okay. I was tossing up two. And it was really, really hard because to me, these are the two most comic accurate characters in the film.
I want to change mine.
You're going to change yours? Okay.
I want to change mine because I completely forgot one.
Oh?
Sorry. It's Snake Eyes. Sorry.
Ray Park. Okay.
I was going between Storm Shadow and Hawk, and I'm like, wait a minute. Ray Park's in this movie. I have got to pick that. That's kind of on brand here. So
yeah, you hosted the Fanfliction podcast. Not picking a Star Wars actor would be sacrilege, I would say, sir. Sacrilege.
I'm sorry, Mr. Park.
Well, okay, so let me continue here. I have two, probably the most comic book accurate actors in this. And it's not Ray Park, and I say that only because you don't really see him, even though he's good at what he does. It's a toss-up between Rachel Nichols, who played Scarlet, and Lee Byung-hun, who played Storm Shadow. And I think if I had to flip that coin today, I'm going to go with Lee Byung-hun, because Storm Shadow was exactly what I wanted out of Storm Shadow in this film. He understood the assignment. He brought a childhood to life with his portrayal of Storm Shadow. Rachel Nichols was a fantastic Scarlet. You couldn't have cast that better. But today it's Lee Byung-hun. Drew, thank you so much for this. Now, before we go, please let our listeners know all about the Fanfliction podcast and where to find you out there on the interwebs.
All right. The Fanfliction podcast, if you don't know, is we are writing Hollywood's next big blockbuster, one podcast at a time. We write movie scripts. We get together, we put one together, and right now we are doing it's going to be an 8 to 10 episode Disney Plus style Star Wars show. And we are completely wrapped up episode 1. We did all the writing. We even, at the end of every season, which is an episode of the show, we get together and bring back guests like Jason here, and we do a table read / audio drama of the episode, which turns out to be A, lot of fun, and B, really cool to listen to. So look up the Fanfliction podcast on all your podcasting platforms. I would say start from episode 1, but for some reason in this weird galaxy, episode 2 is by far and away our most downloaded episode. Go figure. But at least listen to the table read. I guarantee you'll want to, if you listen to that, you'll want to come back. And we want to hear from our audience. So if you do listen, send us your ideas and we'll talk about it and add it, and you get a writing credit for the show. We are on all your social medias at Fanfliction Pod. That is Fanfliction with an L thrown in there for flick as in movie. Fanfliction Pod, or you can go to fanflictionpodcast@gmail.com.
And by the way, if you do go back and listen to that first full table read episode, and Drew, I kind of mentioned this to you before, this actually fulfilled something for me. See, at one point, I was actually auditioning to do audiobook reads. I never actually got a gig out of it. So to actually be a part of that table read, Drew, that was so much fun. It knocked off something on the bucket list. So thank you for that. And listeners, please, by all means, go follow the Fanfliction podcast. Have a listen. It was a ton of fun doing that table read. Drew, thank you so much for this. And we're going to get you back on the show sooner rather than later, because I know we have to go find Flight of the Intruder and go through that one. We will. It's going to happen.
Great movie.
I am looking forward to that one. And listeners, until next time, well, you guys know the drill. If there is a movie out there that you think is unfairly maligned or is so bad that there is no way in anywhere but the States, apparently, because just like this film, they barely spend any time there, that we can find anything good to say about it, hit us up on social media at NotThatBadcast, or go to our website at NotThatBadcast.com. And while you're there, make sure you check out our merch line. So if you want t-shirts, if you want notebooks, coffee mugs, we have a ton of stuff there for you guys to purchase for yourself, rep the show if you like what you're listening to. Until next time, he's Drew, I'm Jay. You guys are awesome. This is It's Not That Bad, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Yo, Joe! Take care.